watered down, less featureful watch, I don't know if that's a word, but we're going to make one, is one that G-Shock has employed before, specifically with their Mudmaster series. I reviewed the GWN 1000, and then they went ahead and released a GN 1000, which is a more diluted watch, and this is the same thing as compared to the GWG 1000. This GG 1000 doesn't have atomic timekeeping or solar powered, and it doesn't have a barometer and altimeter. Like I said, I'll do a complete comparison, and if you want to check out that video, just click the link now. But here we're going to focus on this watch and what it does have. So we see the textured band. There's no nub on the strap keeper this time around. 2 prongs. The back is pretty simple, although stainless steel, and relatively thick. Because of its thickness, I'm tempted to say that it is indeed machined, but it doesn't have the sophistication or level of detail that a lot of their machined case backs do. But at the same time, I don't think it's stamped. I think maybe they just went to save some costs on the detailing of the case back. This watch fits well on my wrist. My wrist is 7 centimeters, only because if I don't tell you guys, you'll ask me. But there's as much of a wrist shot I could get in the circumstance. We see our stainless buttons, again, very hard to turn because they do have O-rings on them, so they are double sealed. And I think that's all speaking about the watch externally. Looking at the watch, we see, of course, our analog display with hour, minutes, and seconds. Notice how much of the hour hand, the minute hand, obscures when you are at 6 o'clock. So that'll happen every hour. Just notice that, it's kind of hard to see the hour hand at this point in time. In addition, we have 2 LCD displays, one on the top and one on the bottom, and a rotating display to tell you what mode you're in. So in this timekeeping mode, we could go ahead and change the top display by pressing the top left button, and we can change between the time and the date. The day of the week is displayed in this display down here, and that's also where your low battery indicator will be if your watch is running low on battery. From the timekeeping mode, we could go ahead and adjust the settings by holding down the top left button. And here we go. You can see we set our home city here, and we could go forward and backwards actually by using the light button to go backwards, so it does get repurposed when you are in the settings. We can turn our daylight saving time on and off, select from 12 or 24 hour time, and go ahead and set our time. Like I said, this is not an atomic watch, so you will have to set the time. Here we set our date as well as turning our ketone on or off, and finally selecting if we want our backlight on for 1 or 3 seconds. The backlight there's only one light. It's an LED, so it doesn't light up the LCD displays, it just lights up the watch face, but it is pretty bright. I'll roll in a clip showing the backlight illuminating the watch in the dark, but keep in mind the camera may not capture it the same way your eye would. I found the lume on the watch hands to be about on par with other G-Shocks, and that is to say less than impressive. If you want to see a comparison, go ahead and click on the GG1000 versus GWG1000 video, and I'll roll in some photos of both of these side by side with my tritium watch over the course of an hour or so you can see how quickly it fades and whatnot. To get to the temperature, one of the sensors of this watch, you go ahead and click this button, and fairly basic, we see our temperature up top, temperature displayed on the bottom, and we would adjust that or calibrate that by holding down this button, and that's also how we would change from Fahrenheit to Celsius. Of course, the watch does have to be off of your wrist for the temperature, so nothing new there. Also from the time screen, we can go ahead and select our compass. That's the second sensor that this watch has. And you can see our dial indicating the compass. And when you're in the compass mode, you have your 12 o'clock heading displayed in degrees here and in cardinal directions down here, and your second hand is gonna point north. The compass only lasts 20 seconds on this watch before it times out, and then it will just display a blank screen, like so. And that's to conserve battery. An interesting feature of this watch is that while in the compass mode, you can go ahead and save a bearing by pressing that button. And then you can see 90 degrees is saved, so it displays our bearing here. And we could also use this banner up top to go ahead and follow that bearing. So when that lights up like that, we know we are straight ahead to stay on our desired bearing. And when the compass does time out and you have to reactivate it, it does still remember your bearing. So that's useful. To calibrate the compass, just because people always ask, you go ahead, hold down that button, you pick your first direction, you go ahead and press this button, it'll take a few seconds, and then the arrow will switch to pointing this way, so then you rotate the watch 180 degrees, press the red button again, wait for it to beep, and then it's all set. But we're not going to do that right now. Moving on. Oh, it's not going to let me. Okay, so moving on, the second setting that we can access